What if I told you one of the most innovative competitive games right now isn't Valorant, and it even beats Fortnite in terms of innovation? And what if I told you it's a game that technically isn't even out yet? I know that's a stretch, but the more I play Valve's new game, Deadlock, the more I feel like people are completely misunderstanding what this game actually is. Because on the surface, yeah, it's just another hero shooter, but when you go deeper, the less that description actually holds up. And I don't think people realize how important that might be. Let's just start with what is it? Deadlock is basically a 6v6 third-person shooter mixed with a MOBA. And if you've played anything in either genre, your reaction is probably, yeah, that's kinda gonna be scuffed. And honestly, that's fair, because we've seen this before. Games try to mix genres all the time, and most of them fall apart. Either they lean too far into the shooter side and the strategy feels hollow, or they lean too much into the MOBA side and the gameplay feels slow or awkward. It honestly never blends cleanly, but this is Valve, and for some reason, it actually works. Not perfectly, but it feels intentional. Like they knew exactly what they were trying to build from the start. The first thing that stood out to me wasn't the strategy, it was how the game feels. And I know that sounds vague, but if you've played enough games, you know exactly what I mean. The game clicks immediately, and Deadlock has that. The movement feels fast, but not chaotic. You've got dashes, double jumps, wall jumps, air dashes, and you can chain it all together in a way that feels normal and smooth without feeling overwhelming. At first, you're just moving around, figuring things out, but then it hits you. You're not just moving, you're thinking about how you move, and that's where it starts to separate itself, because the movement stops being something you do and it becomes something you master. And the map is built around that. The verticality is everywhere. Rooftops, angles, positions, and positions that don't even seem relevant until you realize they are. The better you get at the movement, the more the map opens up to you. And that creates this gap where better players literally experience the game differently than newer players. It's not just about aim anymore, it's about awareness, positioning, timing. Everything is layered together, and a lot of the modern shooters don't even really do that anymore. Then, the MOBA layer starts showing itself. This is where I expected the technical things to fall apart, because MOBA mechanics are technically slow, complicated, and kind of unforgiving at first. But Deadlock doesn't throw everything at you at once, it eases you into it. You've got lanes, objectives, you're pushing towards a base, familiar enough that you don't get lost in. But then, you start noticing the smaller systems, like how to actually get resources. You don't just kill minions. And then you gotta collect these floating orbs. I know that sounds like a tiny thing, but game design isn't just the major things, it's the small things too. Now, it's not just being in the right place at the right time. Any game could do that. It's about reacting quickly, hitting your shots, paying attention at all times. And if someone else takes orbs before you, they get a reward instead. So suddenly, every interaction matters, more than it normally would. This is the weird mix of shooter mechanics and MOBA fundamentals that shouldn't feel natural, but it does. And the more you play it, the more the system starts to make sense to you. And I think that's where this game shines. I think this game shines where other games fail. The small details. It's not just the idea. If they don't commit to both sides fully, either simplify the strategy too much where it appeals to shooter players, or they make shooting feel secondary so it fits the MOBA structure. And the end result is that it feels like something that it doesn't know what it wants to be. Deadlock doesn't really have that issue. Your aim matters. Your decisions matter just as much. And neither one feels like it's being sacrificed. The more I played, the more I realized that this doesn't feel like a hybrid. It feels like something new. And I don't say that very lightly, because most new games are just different versions of something we've already seen. But it feels like something is pulling in multiple directions, all at once, and somehow holding itself together. You got mechanical skill, positioning, builds, team coordination, and all of this happening at all the same time. No time is wasted. I think a big part of it is because it's Valve. This is already the same studio that's behind Dota 2 and Team Fortress 2. They've already proven they understand both sides of this. So when they combine them, it's not random. It feels deliberate, and you can feel that experience in the design. Even the smaller things like how fights play out or how abilities interact with each other. Everything matters. So if this game is doing all of this, then why does it feel like no one's really talking about it? The answer is pretty simple. It's not fully released. Deadlock exists in this weird middle ground where it's playable but not widely accessible. There's no massive market push. There's no big cinematic trailers. There's no official hey, this is the next big thing moment. Because all of that just kind of exists in the background. Like, in order to get an invite, it's convolutedly annoying. You have to be lucky enough to have one of your friends to have been invited by the game devs. Then they have to invite you, and then it could take anywhere between 20 minutes and 48 hours for you to get an invite. And if you don't know anyone who has it, you're kind of shit out of luck. Now, there are spaces where people are like, hey, look at me. I'm willing to invite you, just add me on Steam. But even then, it's hard to get into. But besides all of that, a ton of players just jumped in. And for an unreleased game, these numbers are kind of crazy. Since then, things have settled down. Not in a bad way. It feels like people who are still playing it actually now understand the game and what this game is trying to do. It's not just hype anymore. It's a community forming around something that hasn't fully arrived yet. And that's kind of rare. And I think this game matters more than some people may think. Right now, it feels like competitive games are a little bit stuck. We're still playing the same games as we were 8 years ago. When a game gets nominated for Game of the Year 3 years in a row, it's clear how stuck the gaming community is. Most games are sequels or updates or slight variations of the same formula. Like, how is Baldur's Gate 3 nominated for Game of the Year, and then a couple years later, its DLC is nominated for Game of the Year? Really? Anyways, most of these competitive games right now are either sequels, updates, or slight variations of the same formula. Nothing feels special. Deadlock might be one of the first games in a while that actually tries to push things forward, not just visually or mechanically, but structurally. And if it works, it could change what we expect from competitive games moving forward. So is Deadlock the perfect competitive game? I don't know. That is such a big claim, and I don't want to say that it's the perfect competitive game. It's too early in its lifespan, but I do think that it's doing something that most games aren't even attempting. It's not just combining ideas, it's actually integrating them. And the more time I spend with it, the more it feels like it might be one of those games people look back on and say, yep, that's where things started to change. Or I could be completely wrong and it just might flop. But something feels different. Something feels innovative. Something feels new. But I'm curious what you think. If you've played it before, does it actually live up to this? Is it just another game and I'm making it sound better than it actually is? And if you haven't played it, do you think something else could work long term? Let me know down below. I'll talk to you later.